What's up, guys? I don't want to spoil too much, but just in this video, we have gone through a ton of stuff on these bikes, costing a lot of money, and it would be greatly appreciated if you guys could like and subscribe. Just for context, the one with no plastic started out as a trash bike, and we ended up searching on Marketplace for a parts one that ended up being the good one out of the two. And just for fun, we thought we might get our parts bike to try and get running, and it ended up to be a humongous success. I hope you enjoy this video as much as I think you will. A lot of time and effort was put into here, so I hope you enjoy it. Here we have a 1983 Suzuki 4-wheeler 250 two-wheel drive. It has been sitting for a long time. Tires hold air, thankfully. Owner claims that it runs and drives other than the broken brake cable that you need to be able to pull for the electric start part, which should be easily fixable. Otherwise, claims to be running and driving, and it could be a good fixer-upper today. After we looked at it very thoroughly, we decided we wanted it, and we began on the loading process for the actual quad, which wasn't too hard, but it is what it is. And right after that, we began on working on these two cool looking quads.
What's it on your wrist? Don't scratch your wrist. Just be careful behind you.
Here, we got both tires off on the front on the parts one, and we're going to take off the front ones on the one we're going to keep and put on those ones because they have more tread and are taller overall. So yeah. Oh, these ones all have washers on this one.
Look at that in the front back.
Here we have the difference between the old one in the front and the new one in the back, just for a difference for you. Stay. This one's okay. There. That's not her. There we go. Okay, so we also decided we're gonna swap out headlights because right here there's some damage. We found that this one does work, but we did not know if this one worked. But as you can tell, this one's okay. So we hooked up the jump box, which if I do that again, should be okay there. And turn on the ignition. We do have light, so which tells us that we can swap it. And this one's electric start works. So yay. And on this four-wheeler, the electric start sadly does not work. And we believe it is due to the solenoid on the actual quad. Anyway, back to the tires. This is what it's gonna look like sitting. Yeah, much better. Okay, now on the swapping of the headlights. It is a 12mm on the side. Oh, that's already loose. Or I'm tightening. That's always one which. That's alright. Loosen. Taking that headlight off, it proved to be more challenging than we thought at first, having like 6 actual like things of wires coming out of it. We took apart the vessel to find inside that it was just one of these. So we're gonna do not the actual bolts here, but the one in here. Oh no, that's broken. That's broken. Now looking even deeper, we find that under here snapped. So we're gonna have to completely replace the whole housing off of that one. And from here, to get the headlight out, you just have to unplug it, just like that. Ta-da! So for the extra swap of the housing, we have a yellow, a blue, and deep in here is a green one, if you can see that. This one is an 85, just so you know. We know from the VIN, this one has a scratched off VIN, so who knows what year this one is. If you know, please tell us in the comments. But this one also has the yellow, blue, and green, so we are able to swap the housing. Here we have both of the headlight vessels off. So pretty much looking at it, on the left side you would just have these 3, and on the right side you have these 3. And all of these, green to green, blue to blue, yellow to yellow, all that. And this white one, which goes, if you look in this here, you have the right hole and the left hole. There is a yellow one, a blue one, and a green one, which you can easily tell, aka this one, on the left one. And this one has once again a green one, yellow, and a blue one. But this white clip for your actual headlight that I showed earlier, that just lines up there. Like I say, white is right for this at least. So at that point, that kind of shows you. Having this one off of the parts bike now, we can now install this one onto our non-parts bike. You can obviously tell this one's broken and this one's not, so that's the main reason we're doing all this. Okay, here we have a headlight bezel from the parts quad that we're going to put through here. On this side, we have those, so we're just going to try to set those down here. On this side, we have this yellow one, this green one, and this blue one, which we're going to feed through the left side. If I can do that. Okay, from there we have this side, which has this green one, which is the shortest of them all, which is probably last actually. So I'm going to start with the longest, being the light on the right one. Pulling that back from under there. Under there we have light. Then, if I can get that through. Then we have yellow, which, if I can get to pull through there. Then we have a blue one. And lastly, the shortest of them all and the hardest to get in and out is this green one. Should be pretty easy this time. Having all of those in there, we can now plug them in to this colored cord. It's pretty easy. Alright, scratch that. We're actually going to mount the muzzle first so that's easier. So, to mount these, you obviously also have your bolt, but you have this rubber piece which sometimes sticks to this. You have this square-ish thread piece, and you have this spacer. For the square thread piece, this goes on the back side of it here, and then this would go through right here. So on the actual headlight muzzle, it goes on the side, right by the hole there, and then this spacer goes right there and goes into your bracket hole right here, which you might need to get both of them in and maybe one bolt in to try to help you hold it. So if I put that through and line it up and start some threads, eventually when you tighten it, you will have your muzzle on. Doing that again, see if this one, it was on. You can see how that went on. Again, you had this rubber spacer with the square mount, and then you have your spacer which goes right here. Right here again, you go in right here with the rubber spacing going closer this way. Then you have your spacer inside of the bowl or the housing, whatever. And then you push it through, and then you grab your bolt and thread it through and get some threads started, and then you get those tightened. I can probably thread it a bit more.
Circling it together.
Just tighten that up and give it maybe a couple. Just until barely tight, but tight enough where it's not going to fall apart. And then from there, you start plugging in your color cord and wires. So you got your yellow to yellow, and you just got to make sure that peg goes through that hole, which might be a little tough. It's going. And then when it's through, the peg just goes over that, and you call that good. And you do that for all of them. And then you just make sure that's all tucked in there and all connected good. And then you can grab your headlight, make sure it's the right way. And then you can plug in your white one here. It's lined up correctly, which it's not. And then from there you can tuck that in there. And pardon me, this is the one off of the parts one again, because this one, it was along with the housing, has a ding in the top middle, which is not pretty. And we're looking for as best as we can get here. So for the actual headlight, you line it up tuck it all in, make sure it's all gonna fit good. And you start with these top brackets, which you can see can kind of line up. And from there you push in, and then you can grab your bottom screws, which you just push in and kind of thread them through to start. Here, I moved them. Once again, push it in, kind of thread it in. See if we can get some threaded. Oh, it's somewhere here. Oh, I see, okay. To get this one in, we just had to push down a little bit to get that to line up a little bit better. And from there, you go and find the Phillips that you found or dropped somewhere, which would be right here. And you just thread those in. Until tight on both sides. And then the last final touch, you can tighten up these side bolts to make sure that your headlight is not going anywhere. And ta-da, that's how you do. And then, ta-da. New headlight. Well, not new, but
Wing.
as you can see here now, we do not have the crack here like you saw earlier. Having that fixed. And we're probably just going to install the broken one onto this one. And from here, turning off this shop light. And from here, we have not only a working headlight, but high and low beams working fine. Got this one on, it's not perfect, obviously it's broken. We got a little bit of a gap there, and obviously that part's really broken. But still, overall, with the boost pack all up, we have a working headlight with a low beam and a working high beam. So next on our agenda, I guess, this thing won't switch, and we think that's half the problem of why we're not getting spark. If you look on our parts quad, we have a working one. So next step is to remove this one onto that quad. Okay, so that sucks because we have to take the whole entire headlight apart again. If you see here, there are two wires that come out of here, one from here and one down here. They both come into this big line, which go around, under, and straight into this headlight. Most likely one of those plugs we were just doing. So let's have some fun, y'all. We're gonna start with clipping the zip tie that's holding this main wire without clipping the wires. And we got that off. I didn't show that on video very well, that's my bad. From here, we are going to take, this one's the broken one, and once again, we're gonna be taking these screws out from the actual house, or actual headlight part, again. Those bolts out. Popping this piece out again, we're gonna figure out which one of these is this. So if we look here, give it this one, it is the yellow one. So
Good to know.
unplugging the yellow one for what is this, like my 6th time today? I have a flathead. We're going to be popping one of these out for the 6th time. We also found out off camera that you have to unplug your headlight from your thing. So At the end of this, you're gonna have this part of the yellow one out and your white one out, which goes into this part right here. Under here, you have, if I get on here, you have some Phillips screwdriver points that we're gonna have to take apart. Okay, from here, we have those loosened up with the help of PV. Alright, from here, we have these Phillips, which we're going to pull out. And these are what those are going to look like. Okay, from here we have our switch, I guess you can call it, or yeah, that we're going to be putting on that for it. Back with Fix It With Fire, we have to cook these bolts because they were not budging whatsoever. I'm not even sure if these are still hot, but we did cook some of the buttons, but it's okay because none of it works anyway. So we're going to try it and pull these out. We did end up getting both of them loose. It's hot. Hold on. Sorry, guys. There. One out. And then under here, there's one more, which we did end up getting loose. Okay, sorry, I had to take this last screw off camera because it was cooked. But as you can see here, we have this off, and we just got to take apart this headlight vessel to be able to get that off, and then we can swap off our... Alright, from this point, we have the one off of our parts one, which has the working on and off switch, light, and start button with the existing wires. So first thing we're going to do is feed this through the right hole of your headlight muzzle to be able to plug it in, which is probably going to be the most challenging thing here. There we have the longest piece in being the white piece that plugs into your headlight, and the second piece being the yellow plug-in. Let's see if we can get that through. Back that up. Off camera, I'm sorry, it was a little bit tricky, but we got the white one through the right hole, and we plugged it into his color coding piece here, being the yellow one. And from here, you have your white one that plugs straight into your headlight, which if you wanted to at this point, you could put it back in and do all the stuff from the beginning of the video. But I'm not going to do that quite yet. I'm going to get this ignition all hooked up to see if that was our main issue. Okie dokie. From here, first we got to take out the existing screws that we put in just as a holding point with the Phillips screwdriver. I don't know how well you guys can see this. I'll bring you over here. Once again, moving the existing bolts. From here, we should be able to almost pull this out. Long bolt. And we are able to, how it was went like this here. That's the wrong way. So this one goes on top. And this one goes bottom. Just like so. So we're going to head around here. And I'm going to installing this to here. Not dropping that bolt like an idiot. Again. And we're just going to get these two bolts started to line it up a bit. And from there, we can flip it around and try to screw it in from underneath a bit. On both screws. And try to make it even with the handlebars and give those a tighten. Okay. From there, we should have a working on-off switch on here. And this should all be hooked up, so if we turn this power on, heck yeah. Alright, with all of this up and down, we got zip ties on. We had a really happy success here. All we have to do is turn on the key 1, grab your starting fluid, pop it a couple times, and then give it a... Yeah, up and running. All right, we from that one over there, we hooked up this ignition, and obviously it was bad because now that runs. So from here, we cut the starter one, and it ended up being 4 wires instead of 2. So you gotta figure out which 2 of these are actually like for the real starter, and so we stripped these and we're going to see from there. We also figured out that this has no coil, so that could be a big issue also, but we have one. Okay, at this point we have a brand new coil installed here. We found the correct combination of these 2 wires, and if you're wondering what those ones are for some reason, it is the yellow with the blue strip in the middle and the black with the white strip in the middle touch together. These 2 don't need to be touching at all. And at this point, we ended up getting spark with our new coil in here, which it didn't have. And we're gonna test and see if we can get this thing to fire.
Right?
Yep. Yeah.